The year was 1989. I was a gay man living in Irvine, a university town in Southern California. A group of fundamentalist Christians had gathered enough signatures to put to a vote the removal of a citywide protection for gay and lesbian people. It was called Measure N. If passed, it would remove housing and employment protections regarding sexual orientation. As it happened, a few weeks prior, Edmund Browning, the presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church, issued a pastoral letter to be read in all Episcopal churches. The hot issue for the church was the full inclusion of LGBT persons. This was long before the consecration of the first openly gay bishop, Gene Robinson, in 2004. Bishop Browning's letter encouraged Christians to pray for and with people with whom we disagreed. Something about that letter touched my heart. I was more or less comfortable praying for my adversaries, but praying with them was quite another story. Yet I couldn't shake this invitation. I ran into the leader of the Yes on N group to say that I wanted to pray with one of them. He said he would look into it. Soon I received a phone call from Christina, a very vocal of the anti-gay Yes on Measure N crowd. In progressive circles, she was actually known as Christina, the author of many nutty anti-gay letters to the editor. She was calling because she misunderstood that I wanted to join her anti-gay efforts. I took a deep breath, explained the bishop's letter, and said that I felt called to pray with someone from her group. To my surprise, she said, "I'd like to do that." So we met together 3 times. We agreed that we would not talk politics, and we would use the Bible lesson appointed for the day as a prayer focus. The humor was not lost on either of us when our first appointed lesson was the conversion of the Ethiopian eunuch. Word got back to her board that Christina and I were meeting. The board asked her to stop. She responded by hosting a brunch for her anti-gay board and me. By this time, Christina and I had been in each other's homes and had begun to learn a little about each other's families. Hosting a brunch for me and her board took a great deal of courage on her part. She and I hoped that we could continue to pray together. I wish I could report that the brunch changed everything. The board decided that since I was clearly supporting gay rights, Christina and I could not meet anymore. When Christina called me to deliver the news that we could no longer pray together, I was crushed. So was Christina. We had grown fond of each other, and I was mad. I had felt the stirrings of the Holy Spirit as I was trying to respond to the Christ-like invitation from the bishop. When I shared this disappointing experience with a close friend from church, she asked me a wise question. "I know you're horribly disappointed, but David," she asked, "were you faithful?" I answered yes. I was being faithful. With every bit of my being and with as much understanding of God as I could muster, I was faithful. "Well then," she said, "you did your part." The lessons of that season have stayed with me to this day. Measure N actually passed. We lost. Protections were taken away, only to be restored several years later when California's state legislature passed laws protecting LGBT people. But the spiritual practice of praying with my adversaries has become a recurring practice. It doesn't necessarily change political outcomes, but it changes me. It softens my heart towards other Christinas who come along in my life. Sometimes it's just hard work and I don't want to do it. But when I do, when I make space to pray for and with my adversaries, I am changed. And I am a little more like the Jesus I claim to follow. The question remains as useful today as it was 33 years ago. Were you faithful?